Today's essential question is, can rhetoric be deadly? Did propaganda inspire bomb threats today? So today, at least at Clark Atlanta, in Atlanta, at the AU, there was a bomb threat. And I was saying the other day that, rhetoric is dangerous. People act like just saying stuff out in public is an exercise of your First Amendment rights. But people often forget that the First Amendment has an exception. One exception is the clear and present danger clause, which you can't threaten a politician. They'll come get your ass for clear and present danger. And another one, exception to the First Amendment, to my pro se understanding, is making threats. And the reason I was told about that comes from a case from the earlier part of the 1900s, where a bunch of in the movie theaters, the projector used to use like that real tape and a hot lamp to project the movie on the screen. And what I was taught was a group of teenagers went to a packed movie and thought it would be funny to yell fire. Well, they yelled fire, and what did everybody in the movie theater do? They ran out for the exits. In the process of running out to the exits, they trampled and killed a bunch of people. And it went to court, and the defendants argued that I have a First Amendment right to say whatever I want. And the judge, I think it went to the Supreme Court. We call that certiorari, cert. But it got granted certiorari and went to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court ruled against the defendant. So to my understanding now, it's like almost common sense. You can't threaten people, So what we see a lot of pundits and people like Charlie Kirk and his ilk do is make these little veiled threats towards whole groups, or paint a certain group. They demonize certain ethnic groups, particularly foundational Black Americans. And I guess we call that a dog whistle. People are listening for these dog whistles and act on them. Today, multiple colleges receive bomb threats, historical Black colleges. Now, these children in here trying to learn, trying to make some better out themselves. According to Fox 5, multiple historical Black colleges, including Clark Atlanta, were placed on a lockdown to threats, prompting increased security and shelter-in-place orders. Threats were reportedly beyond Georgia, affecting Southern and Louisiana and several universities in Virginia and Alabama. Historical Black colleges have faced numerous threats with significant federal involvement to enhance security and response measures. So these young people, generally at historical Black colleges are full of people who are trying to better their circumstances. I've attended a historical Black college, graduated from a historical Black college. I've attended 8 historical Black colleges, PWI, state, predominantly white institutions, and in one instance, the Ivy League. And I've noticed that certain Ivy League institutions and certain, we call them PWIs, predominantly white serving institutions, people go to college for different reasons. Some people go there to party. I've noticed a lot of white women go to college to look for their husband. But foundational Black Americans have another agenda when we go to college. Moreover, we're trying to get a good paying job. The reason why I brought that up is these bomb threats interrupted their learning process. They're not going to get a refund for these fucking bomb threats. Now, I'm very grateful that nobody was hurt, but this serves as a warning that spreading rhetoric against a whole ethnic group, a whole race of people, can have consequences. Wani, do you think propaganda and rhetoric can be deadly?
Well, yes, Jewish people were subjected to a lot of propaganda, and they ended up in the gas chamber.
Good point.
So, yeah. So what I notice is like a circular argument where Charlie Kirk said a lot of nasty things about Martin Luther King, about reparations, about Black Americans, saying we should still be in slavery because we were better off then and better off in the 40s, which everything was different in the 40s. So it looks like people were, dressed better, walking around better. So we're just a product of the Western world or United States of America. So if the United States of America goes a certain way, we go that way too. It's not like white people are walking around in top hats and three-piece suits, and we're walking around in raggedy clothes. So the whole country changed and the whole world changed. But he targeted us to speak against, and he didn't target Asians, right? So when he got killed, some people didn't care, like me. I don't care whether, I'm not going to feel guilty, especially since he said one of the most ignorant, uneducated things I've ever heard. Empathy is a made-up word that the New Age people invented.
Wow.
No, it has ancient roots in Greeks. So he's extraordinarily ignorant. Everything he said was wrong and ignorant, but the people listening are not educated, so they just go along with it. So probably Asian people didn't say anything about him as much because they weren't targeted. And so that's what my question is, why are you saying that we need to show empathy? Us specifically need to like a bitter, dyed-in-the-wool racist. And if you don't like him, we're going to attack the HBCUs. That's basically their position. And once again, the Asian slips through and goes under the radar and doesn't get targeted. So they don't have to respond to things because they're not being targeted. So I really don't know what to say. You've got the people on the Gaza Strip talking about how come Black people didn't say anything. We marched with you and Black Lives Matter. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You're the reason why people get shot. You're the reason why you call the police on people over dollar bills or $5 that never even made it to court. That's what Middle Eastern people do. No one in the Middle East is helpful to Black Americans. And they use two West Africans to call the police. So there you go. You have your Africans calling the police on George Floyd, and you have your Middle Eastern people calling the police. So you have all of these situations always centered on us. I don't know why we have to comment on Ukraine, why we have to comment on the Gaza Strip, why we have to comment about some racist, bitter racist dying. Why are you looking at us? Why are you talking about us to begin with? Why are you talking about us to begin with? And then why are you looking for our response when somebody gets their neck blown off while they're talking out of the side of their neck?
Right. Charlie Kirk was quoted as saying Dr. Martin Luther King was an awful person and he didn't believe the things that he said. I mean, to some extent, I think the rhetoric that he was spewing was just to get clicks. But back to what we talked about yesterday in our last space, there are consequences for saying things in public, Now, again, let me give this disclaimer. I'm not an advocate for violence, and I don't want anybody to get hurt. But anybody who spent time in, the real world and in Black neighborhoods as a child back in the 90s, if you say something, you got to be careful what you say. You got to pay for what you say. You know what I'm saying? So we've been kind of coddled in an environment with the internet where you can just say all kind of stuff on Call of Duty, say all kind of stuff on Twitter, say all kind of things on Instagram, and there's no consequences. But we must remind ourselves that there is a real world out there, and the things you say can come back to bite you in the butt. You know what I'm saying? What are your thoughts, Kush?
Well, I'll say this. It's one thing to say a lot of rhetoric And it's lies like the fake statistics and bashing civil rights leaders that they would never be, that they have no presence to become, bashing people all along the way. I know that people don't like some of the things I say. I know the Hebrew Israelites want to beat me up. I know the swarthy Europeans want to beat me up. I know the fake Moors want to beat me up. I know the Pan-Africanists want to beat me up. And I know the Africans want to beat me up. But while they're beating me up, while they're blowing my neck off, at least I was right. At least I would die being right. I would not have died saying something that was incorrect. And I can live with that. I know people don't like stuff that we're saying. We're changing a lot of things that have been sealed in stone. We have to take this side. We can't be against this group. I understand that. But at least I'm telling the truth.
Right.
At least I'm telling the truth.
Yeah, there are things worth dying for, and the truth, in my opinion, is worth dying for. I say things that can be perceived as unpopular, but as long as it's the truth, I really don't care. Socrates, the great philosopher, said, in order to live, you need to learn how to die. And what he meant by that is you need to pick a life walk that is worth dying for. You know what I'm saying? And in my opinion, foundational Black Americans are worth dying for. I'm not the only one that feels that way. Malcolm X felt that way. Dr. King felt that way. Medgar Evers felt that way. Fannie Lou Hamer felt that way. I mean, the list goes on ad infinitum. So there are things worth dying for. But the question is, do you want to die for rhetoric that's not even true? I don't think that's going to work out too well in the afterlife.
Well, that's what he did.
Go ahead.
So I was going to say that even if rhetoric, even if it's not deadly, that's the extreme. It has consequences, and I'm just looking at when I get on Twitter after work or whatever the case may be. I was scrolling through my timeline, and I don't know how the algorithm works. There are some pages that I don't even follow, but for whatever reason, they are getting boosted so much to my page that I'm seeing certain things. And I saw one of these conservative pages, and they had taken a video of some Black person, some Black guy in the military, and he had like 100 and some 0.5 million followers on TikTok or whatever. And the guy was doing a video and he was talking about, he was doing commentary about Charlie Kirk and the assassination. I believe that's what they're calling it, the assassination. And the guy, he was doing commentary like many other people have been doing about this assassination. It was very shaken. This is a way for people to process what they're seeing, whether they agree with Charlie Kirk and his rhetoric, whether they don't. Everybody's processing it because it was shocking, extremely shocking. It was caught on video. It went viral. Everybody's seeing it, which is something that we haven't seen these types of things in even decades past, right? Where you're seeing somebody be assassinated live and in real time for all intents and purposes, and it being replayed back over and over and over and over again. But the point that I'm making is that this guy in the military, he has this TikTok video and this conservative page on Twitter that I've never seen before. It has practically gone viral. This page is like, hey, Secretary of War, this guy's in the military, and pretty much praising the fact that Charlie Kirk has been assassinated. And the person is like, this is unacceptable. This goes against the UCMJ, and this person should not be in the military. So I click on the post and I'm reading other comments, and they found some other Black person in the military who was again giving commentary in their opinion about how they felt about this assassination. And again, more people are calling for what I'm seeing, Black people in the military calling for their head, so to speak. And then I see somewhere else on another conservative page, there's a white man that works for the Department of Agriculture. The reason why I'm bringing all of this up is because the far right is now going on a witch hunt, it appears, for anybody who is expressing commentary or their opinions about the assassination, right, wrong, or otherwise, which in them going on their hunt, I'm not going to necessarily say a witch hunt, but they're going out on the hunt, right? It doesn't matter, black, white. If people are speaking out in a way that they don't like, immediately, oh, this person doesn't need to have a job. This person needs to be fired. And it's like, okay, fine. You may not necessarily want to see somebody dead, but to take their livelihood, in some cases, you are
killing them.
That is right. That is a way of killing them. Like you said, even like with these young people at these HBCUs, the thing that I thought about, bomb threats at a HBCU, people are targeting, in that particular instance, they're targeting the idea of foundational Black Americans. And what I mean by that is most HBCUs are not full of foundational Black Americans. The HBCUs are full of all these immigrants and white people. So when people are targeting affirmative action and they're targeting DEI and they're targeting HBCUs and they're targeting things that are historically associated with foundational Black Americans, what people are targeting is the idea of us, because they don't even realize that over the course of decades, other people have been funneled into our spaces. And in funneling other people in, we have been pushed out. So foundational Black Americans aren't even the primary people at HBCUs like that anymore. We're not the primary beneficiaries of affirmative action and DEI. So when people are using these terms against us, it's just a shot at the idea of us. It's not at us per se. But I say all of that to say that on the right, the Reddit people that are even just having discourse and commentary, people are coming at even people's lives.
Black students, we need to know our history.
The Black history we're being taught in public schools is repetitive.
As a Black high school student, I want to learn more about my history in the school books.
We need to update our books.
As Black American students, we deserve an accurate depiction of what history truly is.
I want to see myself in these textbooks.
In the public school system, Black history is vague.
Why don't the school books ever talk about the Freedmen's Bureau?
I created the workbook for the African American family. This book helps fill in the gaps that the school books don't. Purchase the workbook for the African American family on ourstorypublications.com and use the Cash App, $, Our Story Publications.